This is Accounting Chapter 11, Lesson 4, Posting the Special Journal Totals to the General Ledger. In the last section, we were posting the separate amounts that were in the general debit and the general credit columns. This time we're going to be posting from the special columns. The special columns are only posted at the end of the month with the total. So here you can see we're only showing parts of this. We are not showing the general debit and credit columns. So we have the accounts receivable, we've added it, we have a total. The sales credit, we added, we got a total. And the sales tax payable, which we added, and we have a total. Now what we're going to be doing is posting those numbers to their respective ledger pages. Step number 1, we're going to write the date. The date is always whatever day the last day of the month is. In this case, it is the 30th, so we'll write the 30th. I'll just show you here through the accounts receivable one. We will write the sales journal page number. So it's an S11 is going to go in our post reference. Step number 3, for each column, we will end the account, we will write the column total. So this one has a total of $9,068.06. It is in the debit column, so we bring it to the debit for accounts receivable. This is a sales credit. We're going to bring this number to the sales credit column. And this is sales tax payable credit, so it comes to the sales tax payable ledger in the credit column. Step number 4, we will calculate the new balance. Just like we've done before, if they are the same, we add. If they are opposite, we subtract. So for accounts receivable, we had a debit, we have a new debit, we add the two together, and the balance goes in the debit column. For sales, we had a credit balance, we recorded a credit, we add the two credits, and now we have a new credit balance. For sales tax payable, we did not have a previous balance because we had paid our sales tax to the state already. So we recorded a credit. Because there was nothing to add it to, it automatically comes straight over to the credit balance column. Finally, we're going to come back up to our sales journal and we're going to put our post reference. This time, instead of putting it in a post reference column, because we have several that we're posting from the same line, we post it below the double lines in parentheses. So here's account 1130 goes here, account number here, account number up here. Okay, whenever we're working with our purchases journal, we will total and rule it at the end of each month, just like we did with our sales journal, and we're going to post it the same way. So in this case, we have our purchases debit, accounts payable credit. You notice that this one column, this one number, instead of having to write it twice, we only had to write it once. We only had to add up one total, but it's actually posting to two different accounts, both the purchases ledger and to the accounts payable ledger. So we're going to come to purchases. Step number 1, we write the date. Again, it's the last day of the month. Step number 2, we're going to write where the information came from. This is from P11, so it goes in the post reference. Step number 3, for each account, we're going to write the purchases journal column total. So this $17,148.08 is purchases debit. So it goes on the purchases ledger. It's going to go in the debit column. It's also going to go down here because this column also represents the accounts payable credit. So the same number will go to the accounts payable ledger, and this time we're putting it in the credit column. Step number 4, for each account we will calculate and write the new balance. So in this case we had a previous debit balance. We recorded a debit, so we add the two debits together to get a bigger number. In this case, we had a credit balance of how much we owed because accounts payable is a liability, it has a normal credit. We have a new credit balance because we have charged to more people, so we owe more people. We add the two together, we now owe $36,776.08. Now that's not exactly true because we will record another item in this accounts payable ledger, but for now We owed $19,000 at the end of last month. We charged another $17,000, so this is our new amount that we owe. And always, step number 5, we need to make sure that we record these account numbers, account number 5,110 and 2,110. And this time, because we're not putting it in a post reference, because we're recording a total, it goes below it in parentheses. And so we're going to write both of these account numbers in their own set of parentheses below the double lines for the total. Okay, now we're going to post the special amount column totals of the cash receipts journal to the general ledgers. So cash receipts is whenever we receive money, and these are our special columns. We didn't have anything for our general, and if we did, we would have recorded those individually. So on this one, we have accounts receivable credit, this amount. First of all, we're going to start by writing the date, and this is showing you all the accounts at one time. You would not go through and write the date on each ledger page and then come back and write the journal page on each ledger page. You would do all of accounts receivable, get the total, then do all of sales, get your total, all of sales tax payable, and so on. But in this case, I'll show you with accounts receivable. It had a credit balance, or we have a credit total because it's a credit column. We're going to come down here to our credit column for the 30th. We're going to write that total in the credit column. We had a debit balance before. Now we have a credit. So a debit and a credit, we're going to subtract the two, and the answer goes in the one that was bigger. So the debit had 19,808.96. The credit was 9,540. So the debit was bigger. Once we subtract, we still have a debit. And that goes in our balance column. We're going to do the same thing with sales. Sales was a credit, so it goes in the sales credit column. Sales tax payable was a credit, so it comes down to the sales tax payable column. Sales discount debit, so this goes to the sales discount ledger in the debit column. And cash debit, so this is going to come to the cash ledger and put it in the debit column. And again, the last step is always to bring these account numbers back up here, put them in parentheses under the appropriate total so that we know we had those posted. Okay, now we're going to post the special amount column totals of the cash payments journal. Cash payments is money we have spent. So same thing as before. We're going to write the date, the last day of the month. Where did the information come from? It comes from CP22, so that's going to go in the post reference. For this one, we're not doing the general debit and credit totals because we did everything individually. So these numbers do not go anywhere else. So we put a check mark here to show that we don't have to do anything with those. We're going to come over here to accounts payable debit, and we're going to take this amount recorded on the accounts payable ledger page in the debit column. Then because we had a credit, remember I said this number looked a little big because we had our previous balance. This was the amount we charged at other businesses that we now owed. So we have a big total of $36,000. However, we did end up paying $17,984 of that. So we really only have an outstanding balance of $18,792.08. And we had a credit, we recorded a debit, so credit minus a debit, we subtracted. The credit number was bigger, so it is still a credit. Step number 5, we come back up here, and we're going to record the account number so we know that we got this column done. Then we would go over to the purchases discount credit, put it in the credit column, find our total, come back up here. Same thing with cash. Okay, for the audit your understanding questions. Number 1, for which columns of the special journal are the column totals posted to the general ledger? So a special journal would be our cash payments journal. Which columns are we going to post the totals for to our general ledger pages? Remember, we never post the general totals, so the only ones we're posting from the special journal are the special columns. Number 2, in what order should special journals be posted to the general ledger? We should start with our sales journal, number 1. Number 2, we're going to go to the purchases journal. Number 3 is the general journal. Number 4 is the cash receipts journal. And number 5 is the cash payments journal. So the order that you always record your journals from, you start with sales, then purchases, then general, then cash receipts, then cash payments. Okay, now you're ready to do work together for 11.4.